Embeera eyongera kwononeka eri General Museveni ne Paul Kagame owa Rwanda anti ekibinja ky'abasirikale bebatwala Congo nga balimba mbuno bagenze kuuma mirembe Congo n'okuziyiza abayeekera okusinziira eyo okujja okulumba ensi zaabwe. Akalala kyazuuka dda nti abantu bano basindikayo beba M23 era bebawagira ekibinja ky'abayeekera ekimanyiddwa nga M23 ekibba ebyobugagga bya Congo. Congo egamba nti Rwanda ne Uganda bibabbe ebyobugagga byayo era nga kyategeerekese nti ku byobugagga ebyetaagisa mu nsi yonna ebiri 28 naye 26 ebyobugagga ebyo bisangibwa mu ggwanga erya Democratic Republic of Congo mu kitundu kino ekyawambibwa Rwanda ne Uganda nga bagamba muno bayeekera ba M23. Kati nno eggwanga lya America lyongedde okusimba abakanda n'okuwanika obuzito nga ligamba nti Rwanda eggyeyo amagye gaayo mangu Nambiro ng'ezimba tekinnaba kusamba ddagala era nga n'amagye ga South Africa n'amawanga amalala Tanzania n'amalala nabo engabo gagikwasiza maanyi era nga Rwanda ne Uganda bali mu kusattira bali mu kwewola byakulwanyisa ebyakabi okuva e China osobola okulaba nga bakendeeza embeera naye ebigambo byabasobyeko dda. America egamba emyaka mingi gisusse nga Rwanda etugomya eggwanga lya Congo ate nga abantu bafiira bwemage n'olwekyo okwoyo ogumiikiriza kakati essaawa okwakitinga. Eggwanga lya Congo ligamba nti ebyobugagga ebyandibadde bikulaakulanya Congo ate Rwanda ne Uganda babibba bo okwekulaakulanya Congo n'esigala ng'ebonaabona kubanga ensi yonna ebyobugagga ebibeezaawo ebiyimirizaawo ensi kwe tuyimiridde biri ebintu 28 kati ebintu 26 byonna biri mu ggwanga lya Congo ebitundu ebirala ebyensi birinako ebintu bibiri byokka. Awo noomanyira Congo obugagga bwayo naye ate nga bannansi baavu n'ensi yennyini njavu kyokka nga yina ebyobugagga ebisinga mu nsi yonna kwe kugaana okugenda mu maaso. Kati n'Amerika egamba no n'ensuso bw'omulamuzi. Kale katufune ebigambo bino so tulabe akatambi kano owulire ddala Amerika kyegamba.
Rwanda must end its support to M23. It must also withdraw Rwandan forces from Congolese territory and immediately remove any and all of its surface-to-air missile systems, which credible reporting indicates have been responsible for intentionally firing on the aerial assets of MONUSCO.
So you've heard that statement from that video, and basically the man who's speaking is called Robert Wood. He's the Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN from the United States, and he was speaking at the UN Security Council meeting where they condemned Rwanda for sending troops to Congo and calling these troops or these Rwandan troops M23. They know that. They've stopped pretending. They know that what we call M23 and what the international media keeps talking about as rebels are actually Rwandan troops. So the lies have started reducing, and that is thanks to people like me who keep saying that on YouTube. And we try to do it in English because that is the language that a lot of people in the world at least could understand. And we have been successful, as you can see. At least they can hear part of what we are saying, even read the comment. The good thing is a lot of you, and I want to thank you, you come to the comment section below and you comment in English, and they watch the videos, listen to what I'm saying, and even read your comments. If they read 1,000 comments from 1,000 of you, they really now believe what is happening, because in the comments they can tell that people are not happy. So thank you for that. So from that meeting and from that clip is that the UN Security Council issued sanctions on the rebels in Congo violence. So the Committee of the United Nations Security Council has imposed arms embargo. You know what is an arms embargo? Is stopping you from buying arms. I mean, before we even continue talking, why would a rebel group be allowed to buy arms? You understand? Imposing them arms on them, or rather imposing arms embargo on a rebel group, is just absurd, because a rebel group has no right to even acquire these guns, right? So they have imposed that embargo on those rebels. They have also imposed travel ban. This means their visas cannot be approved. They have also requested asset freeze for these leaders of these Rwandan-backed quasi-proxy rebel groups, right? And of course, by saying this, we have to also ask ourselves, where are these assets that they own? As I said in a previous video, they own real estate in Kenya. They own real estate in Kigali. They own real estate in Uganda, Kampala, you know. And to those who do not know what I mean is, they own land, farmland, ranches, and apartment buildings. They are renting. They have tenants in Kampala. So they own buildings where people are paying rent to them, of course, through proxy companies in Kampala. They have apartments in Kitengela, Kenya. I know that Bisimwa had 2 apartments somewhere in Kitengela in Kenya. Someone showed me, someone who knows him very well. So they own these kind of homes in East Africa. That's how they get money, so that if things get tough for them, their families can continue living well in East Africa. They can travel. Their families can travel all over the world. So we need to know who are their wives, who are their children, and cancel their visas. Now, unfortunately, their children study away from Congo. Definitely, you find their children studying in international schools in Kenya. Others study in Canada for, higher education. Others study in other countries like Australia. They use Rwandan passports, so they go there as Rwandans. But we know them, and these international organizations like the UN can find out who they are, and then we need to sanction their sons, their daughters from enjoying good lives, living large in those countries, while their fathers are enjoying good lives, living large in those countries. While Australia, they use Rwandan passports, so they go there as Rwandans. But we know them, and these international organizations like the UN can find out who they are, and then we need to sanction their sons, their daughters from enjoying good lives, living large in those countries, while their fathers are creating havoc in Congo, killing the dreams of many Congolese people. So we need to find out. Now, the other thing is, we need to also sanction countries that would want to work with them. For example, Rwanda is going to violate this arms embargo. What is going to happen to Rwanda? Because they are supplying ammunition and guns to these rebels. You are sanctioning the rebels. Why don't you sanction the source of those guns? They need to sanction Rwanda. They need to stop playing around the bush. That's what the English say. You move around the bush instead of chopping it down or getting inside the bush. If you want to do that, don't move around the bush. Like it's called beat about around the bush. Don't beat about the bush, right? So just impose an arms embargo on Rwanda. And if there are government officers in Rwanda working with these rebels, who we know, like James Kabarebe was working with them, we know the commander of the Rwandan Defense Force is also issuing commands to these Rwandan troops to go to Congo. We want a travel ban on the family members and the general in Rwanda, the chief of defense, or chief of staff, sorry. And we also need to track their asset, because they have not only invested in Rwanda because they don't trust Paul Kagame. We know people like James Kabarebe, they have invested outside Rwanda, and particularly in Uganda. Let's find their assets. Let's freeze them. Now, if Uganda doesn't comply, let's sanction Uganda, because they are allowing these weapons to go through their territory as they head to Ruchuru. We've proven that. So In that statement, he's even mentioning that Rwanda has the surface-to-air missile in Congo. I remember when I made that video about the surface-to-air missile about a week ago, a lot of people came to the comment section saying that I'm a propagandist. You know, they're saying that my videos are propaganda, basically, because they couldn't believe it. So now, to end this video, I want to tell you the leaders that were given these sanctions. One of the leader is the leader of the ADF. This is a Ugandan rebel groups that I suspect was created by the Ugandan government to have an excuse of going to Congo. The other one is the group in South Kivu, south of Uvira. Sometimes they are found in Mwega, right? And they were the ones massacring the Bembe people in Minembwe. You remember Minembwe last year? So the group is called Twirwaneho na Ngomino. They call themselves, sometimes they call themselves Ngomino, other times they call themselves the Twirwaneho armed group. They are led by a guy called Makanika. He's a Kano. He was a Kano. He goes by the name Makanika. I don't know why. And he's known. And he gets these guns from Rwanda. And on top of that, he gets money. A lot of money that was captured the other time by the FBI, coming from Canada, coming from Australia, after being, fund raised by by these Wanyamrenge people who are living in those countries. They went there because they said they were refugees, and they were relocated there as refugees. And once they got there, they started looking for jobs. They work and they put money together. They send it back to Twirwaneho with the hope that this group is going to remove the Bembe people who have been living in that part of Congo for more than 2,000 years. That now, so that these Rwandan Tutsi can come and live in Uvira. They can come and live in Minembwe, which is very far south near Katanga. So they can come and live in Mwenga. So that is the deal. But what I'm trying to say is those people who are sending the money to Iranian people can easily be tracked because they're using PayPal, they're using Western Union, they're using the electronic money transfer that is controlled by the US. The US can easily find out who are doing that, revoke their refugee status and asylum seeking status in Canada, Australia, and the US, put them on a bus and ship them back to Rwanda or wherever they came from. They need to do that. They need to stop joking around and telling us things that are just useless. So the US also added to the UN list were the military spokesperson for the M23, which is the Tutsi-led rebels. These are the Rwandan troops in Congo, and a leader with the Democratic Forces of Liberation of Rwanda. Now, they usually try to make Rwanda feel good. One thing I told you in a previous video, FDLR is not there. It doesn't exist. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because there's no need for them to exist. You see, why would FDLR exist? That's the first question. You see, Paul Kagame wants to tell you that FDLR is there to organize themselves, arm themselves, and go to Rwanda to remove him from power, and then take over the country, which is Rwanda, and rule it. Who would want to leave Congo and go to live in Rwanda? Rwanda has a population of 15 million people, and it is tiny. They have the highest population density in Africa. The highest. They even have the highest population density than Bangladesh. You know, Bangladesh is a tiny country next to India with a population of 330 million people. Rwanda has a higher density than even those people in Bangladesh. So it is crowded. You can't even find a space to put up a house in Rwanda today. That's why a lot of Rwandans are leaving Rwanda, and others are trying to go to Congo to grab their land, pretending that they were born there. You understand? So if these Hutus who left Rwanda in 1994 went to Congo and found free land and found good land, why would they want to come back to Rwanda? So they start saying, okay, their children still have the same ideology. Let me tell you something. According to the Democratic Republic of Congo's constitution, Any child who is born inside Congo, and it's not easy to find their parents, like their parents don't have the documents to prove where they are from. They are called stateless. They don't have a country. Those children automatically become Congolese. So the Hutus who went to Congo, who I assume lost their document or they didn't even want to be called Rwandans, they became stateless in Congo. And the children they bore or they gave birth to in Congo automatically became Congolese. So now, if you are a child of a former Hutu and you are in Congo and today you are a Congolese, and there's enough land for you to build a house, there's enough land for you to do farming, your father and your grandfather were farmers, and Congo is not telling you not to do farming, why would you want to go back to Rwanda to fight for a smaller space to farm? That's bullshit. So there is no one in Congo who is a Hutu who would want to go to Rwanda. Even if Paul Kagame asked them to go and hand power to them, they will still not go to Rwanda. Because there's nothing to go to Rwanda to. Forget about the videos he keeps showing us about how clean Kigali is. No one cares about a clean street. People care about food and you know, freedom to do whatever they want to do. And in Rwanda, there is no freedom to do what you want to do. And in Rwanda, people are starving. So no one would want to go to Rwanda from Congo. That's a fact. So never take him seriously when he's saying that there's a group called FDLR that is training people to come to Rwanda. No one wants to go to Rwanda. Paul Kagame, this is a message to you. No one is interested in coming to that shithole of a country. Even the people in Rwanda today want to leave. Paul Kagame has come up with this tactic where the Hutus are mostly denied passports. It's a fact. And even when they're given passports, you know, nowadays we have the digital passports in East Africa, they are cancelled. And I'm saying this because a week ago I was in Nairobi. That's where I live. I went to this airport in Nairobi called Jomo Kenyatta. I found a group of about 10 Rwandans. And they said they had left Rwanda, paid and sold everything in Rwanda. They came to the JKIA so that they can take a plane to Turkey, you know, Turkey. And then from Turkey, there was a ticket they had bought for a plane to take them to Ecuador. Ecuador is a country in Southern America that doesn't require people to have a visa on arrival. You can just fly from anywhere in the world and land into Ecuador. So they told me they were supposed to fly to Ecuador, and then from Ecuador they were supposed to walk through the jungles. They had an agent, that's what they were calling him, but I know it's a human trafficker in Southern America, who was supposed to facilitate them to move all the way to the United States border so that they can cross the border, because they have seen on TikTok a lot of people are being allowed into the US. So what happened to them? Rwanda found out and it cancelled their passports. So when they went to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Kenya, after flying from Rwanda using Rwanda Air, that's what they said, their passport was being rejected in the system. So when the passport was entered in the immigration system in Kenya, there was a certain notification that this person should not be allowed to travel. You understand? And these are people who are not traveling outside Rwanda to go and do negative things. They just want to go and have a good life in the US. But now the Rwandan government is cancelling passports of the people they have issued to, and it is denying passport to other people they don't like. And it's a fact that a lot of people have always wanted to leave Rwanda. It is the North Korea of Africa. People want to leave Rwanda. No one, apart from few tourists who are duped by the fake image on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, most sane people want to leave Rwanda. And now here he's telling us that FDLR is interested in coming to Rwanda. No one is interested in going there.
embeera bwetyo bweri
must end its support to
Rwanda.
M23. It must also withdraw Rwandan forces from Congolese territory and immediately remove any and all of its surface-to-air missile systems, which credible reporting indicates have been responsible for intentionally firing on the aerial assets. Rwanda must end its support to M23. It must also withdraw Rwandan forces from Congolese territory and immediately remove any and all of its surface-to-air missile systems, which credible reporting
Embeera e Rwanda bwetyo bweri ebigambo si byangu bizitomu abanwulira ab'e Rwanda ab'e Congo abalumiriza General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni wamu ne Paulo Kagame okuba emabega w'ebigenda mu maaso era nga oluwulidde eggwanga lya Amerika limaze okusazaamu oba litaddewo okugaana
for displaced people where thousands of people are seeking shelter. They say they have nowhere else to go. The situation is dire, and this is because of fighting that has been going on between government forces and M23 rebels. This is North Kivu province in eastern DRC. We are at Camp Ngoma for displaced people where thousands of people are seeking shelter. They say they have nowhere else to go. The situation is dire, and this is because of fighting that has been going on between government forces and M23 rebels. This is North Kivu province in eastern DRC on the border with Rwanda. This province is rich in minerals like coltan, which is used in almost all electronics. Over the past 3 decades, more than 100 armed groups have fought for control of the region. But recently, fighting has escalated between M23 and Congo army forces. In 2 years, 1 million people have been displaced because of the fighting.
We are always running. We don't get rest. I don't know what to do. I'm just praying for peace.
The DRC, the US, and the UN say M23 is funded and supported by Rwanda. Rwanda denies these claims. Human rights groups say atrocities have been committed by both fighting sides. Property has been destroyed, and women have also been raped. M23 fighters are on hills near the town of Sake. A coalition of government forces is trying to push them back. If Sake falls, it means that it will be very easy for M23 to march on to Goma, and more people here will continue suffering.
obulamu si bwangu butambuliramu n'abakulembeze ba Africa oba n'ensi yonna abantu beeyagaliza bokka kubba bannaabwe nga bagagawala ensi bwetyo bweri bagundi gw'ogagawale bagundi gw'ogagawale kati byebiri Rwanda eno e Congo bannaffe oya bali mu kuba displaced abakyala bali mu kuwambibwa bali mu kuleesa amaanyi ebyobugagga bya Congo biggwawo owulidde Congo erina ebyobugagga 26 ku ebyo byetaagibwa mu nsi ebiri 28 ya 26 ebiina waayo abalala balina 2 byokka kale katwongere okulaba agava e Congo eno tutambule n'okumanya.
To the Democratic Republic of Congo, where tensions remain high as conflict with M23, a rebel group backed by Rwanda, continues in the east. Kinshasa denounced the European Union signing of a critical raw materials deal with Rwanda, which it accuses of stealing its mineral wealth.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has hit out at the European Union for a recent deal that it signed with Rwanda on raw materials. Relations between Rwanda and Congo are dire in the extreme. Congo accuses its neighbor Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group in order to plunder its mineral resources. Rwanda, for its part, says that Congo works with militias such as the FDLR, which present a national security threat to Rwanda. On Monday, Brussels inadvertently waded into this dispute by signing a memorandum of understanding on raw materials with Rwanda, which it said produces critical minerals such as tantalum and niobium. The deal provides for ensuring a supply of raw materials for the EU and aims to increase traceability. But the signing provoked outrage in Kinshasa. The Foreign Ministry said that Rwanda doesn't have the critical materials and that it smuggles them from Congolese territory, where they are abundant. It also said the signing of the deal was, and I quote, a very unfriendly act, and it called for an explanation. Congolese government spokesman Patrick Muyaya posted on social media that there is no compassion towards victims of Rwandan aggression. Brussels signed a similar deal with Congo in October, but its Rwanda deal couldn't have come at a worse time. For a start, many Congolese people perceive the EU as indirectly supporting M23 rebels through its relations with Rwanda. But on top of that, the EU-Rwanda deal was signed amid fierce fighting between the M23 and Congolese forces, and it came just as the rebels had encircled the Congolese city of Goma.
Mujjukira ebyaliwo emabegaawo Bungereza bwe yagamba nti aba refugee oba abantu abagenda e Bungereza okunoonya obudamu egenda batwala e Rwanda newa ne Rwanda $1 million oba zaali 200 mu something nga ina kubawa 5 obwekityo ndowooza bwekyali nga kyebagamba nti Bungereza ejjudde then mugende e Rwanda naye ate newewulidde nti Rwanda ntono nnyo n'abaliyo tebajja bavaayo buvi okunoonya gye banaabeera kati bino enkolagana zino Rwanda zeekolagana n'amawanga ago aga European Union bawulidde EU European Union yakoze deal n'eggwanga lya Rwanda nti Rwanda basupplying ne minerals naye nga Rwanda minerals ezijja Congo ezijjayo etya M23 Rwanda basupplying ne minerals tukanga bakimanyi terina wabula kubanga ezijja Congo then bo ezibaguze bagiwe sente zebagiwa yekulaakulanye ate esobola okufacilitatinga M23 oba kiraba kati eno endagaano pulezidenti wa Congo yagiguddemu n'agiwakanya n'agamba lwaki mukola endagaano n'omuntu atalina matiyo ng'ebintu abibba wange ate abiguze mmwe ne mukola naye endagaano lwaki temugikola nange ne munnyamako ne tumugobawo ne mugula ebintu ng'ensimbi zimuziwanze nekulaakulanya ensi yange kyobulaba olunaku ebirundi ebisinga saagala abantu bano abakyerupe baddaabodiira abantu bebatawanyiza ensi eno kubanga teteredde kyobulaba tusala ne tuggwera mu mawanga gaabwe naffe ne tugawamba ne tuzaalayo ne tubeerayo ne twekatirayo mu mbeera zonna kubanga ewaffe boonoonayo bo nga batereeza ewaabwe kandi naffe tulina kubafuukira kizibu ewaabwe eyo ewaffe boonoonyeeyo entalo ne Congo bwe bali mu ddwagira babafunamu olide European Union yakoze endagaano ne Paul Kagame abaguze ebyomugagga ebyomutaka naye kitabirina ayina bijja Congo ng'akozesa M23 lwaki twakola endagaano ne Congo ne bayambako ne Congo okugyawo M23 ne beegazaanya ndowooza abazungu abo si bangu tubagendeko mpola ayimera bwetyo eri Congo naye ng'olya byonna ebyogerwa balumiriza Uganda Rwanda bawagira M23 obutuufu bwaso sibumanyi naye okusinziira ku byogerwa amulegano sinze gakoze abagala ba France 24 gava ku Al Jazeera beboogera bino nti no ekibinja kino kiwagirwa Uganda ne Rwanda katulabimu wano ate akalala Congo no ebyobugagga byayo bye bigissa abantu babundabunda lwakuba bya bugagga ensi yaabwe lyerina kati awo ekyokukola sikimanyi naye nga tulina kusabiriŋŋana essaala zeeyongere tusabirigane naye ebintu si byangu ensi eno si nyangu n'omulundi n'ogumu buli muntu ali mu kutya buli muntu ali mukankana olw'ebyo bigenda maaso e Congo South Africa yaleese amagye ne banywanyi baayo naye ekintu tekinnaba kuba kyangu abakyakiyiiya
dissensions between the DRC and Rwanda are raising fears of an all-out conflict between the neighboring countries. Earlier this week, the U.S. warned that they must work together to prevent a serious escalation in the border area. Rwanda denies any involvement in the conflict in eastern DRC and calls on the international community to study its root causes for a solution.
N'ozowulira yo Rwanda bagigamba ebyegaana kuba emanye ina backup amalegamba ekintu kya refugee ekintu kya M23 ekyo Bungereza ekintu kya M23 Bungereza no ekintu kyaba bonoonyi b'obubudamu refugees Bungereza be yali egamba nti baleetebwa e Rwanda lwe lukwano kwano lwe beereesaawo naate nga bagenda okwonoona bannaabwe balage mbuno bo bafaayo nnyo eri abalala.
South African Defence Force and Military Veterans Minister Thandi Modise says soldiers deployed to the eastern DRC are well equipped. Modise, together with Army top brass, have received the mortal remains of the 2 soldiers who were killed in the Congo, Captain Simon Mkhulu Bobe and Lance Corporal Ivan Tabang Simono. Their bereaved family members also attended the procession at the Air Force base in Waterkloof. SANDF troops are part of the SADC mission.
Well, certainly quite a very heart-wrenching moment here in Pretoria as the 2 members of the South African National Defence Force have been repatriated. Their mortal remains are finally back here in South Africa in light of that very terrible incident where 2 members of SANDF died in the DRC. As you know, that South Africa is part of that mission that is led by SADC to try and stabilize the rest of part of the DRC. Joining us now is Minister Modise to really just look at this poignant moment. So, Minister, once again, thank you so much indeed for your time. So, a very sad time because, you know, losing a troop, it doesn't really sound very good.
No, losing a member is never good. Losing the younger ones is even worse because they are the future of the Defence Force. And whatever combat experience they garner now stands them in good stead into the future. Leadership is built on the battlefield. So yes, it is sad. But if we are feeling painful, you can imagine what the families are going through. There's a young widow there. Beautiful. She was looking forward. There's a little boy there. And therefore, when we go to sleep tonight, the General and I will be thinking of these 2. We'll be thinking of the old lady who on her birthday gets not that singing voice from the sun, but that he has been killed. So, yes. Well said.
And obviously we know, Minister, South Africa's international obligations, South Africa's foreign policy is very clear in terms of peace and stability. South Africa's future is not just, you know, an island nation, but it's inextricably linked to the African continent. DRC is a member of SADC and also AU. You know, you have these responsibilities. Tell us about the state of the mission so far, at least from the South African perspective. We do know that you do have Tanzania and Malawi as well, part of this mission.
Well, the state of the mission, that's a difficult one because you sound like you want to get what I cannot give you, but the General can give you. But there is commitment from Tanzania, South Africa, and Malawi. There is commitment. When a country like the DRC, remember, out of the 28 most important minerals in the world, 26 of them are found in that corner of the world. Therefore, you have a lot of conflict, and this conflict, because of what they have, will continue amongst themselves and from other actors from outside. So our role is to try and create space for the people of the different people of the DRC, create space for them to come together, to find peace amongst themselves. And you cannot find peace if you are at each other's throats. So our role there is more about stabilizing, creating conditions where people can go back home, where children can go back to school, where women can farm their farmlands and create the food that they need, where the cultures that we so much fought for, Tsarona in South Africa, can be restored, where all these DRC people all over the world can go back home again and say, we are back home. That is more important for anybody who's been in a war-torn country than anything else. To touch the soil of your forefathers, to own your own name.
Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time. Of course, defense and military veterans, Minister Modise, really talking about that current mission. As you know, that South Africa is part of the SADC. There is a mutual pact.
Holiday ulungi Minister wa South Africa ng'ategeeza nti ku mineral z'omutaka 28 ezeetaagibwa mu nsi okuyimirizaawo nga bweri. Congo waliyo mineral za 26. Kitegeeza Congo yensi yalibadde esinga obugagga mu nsi yonna, badde super power mu nsi yonna, naye Congo esinga obwavu, bali mu ntalo. Kitegeeza zino entalo ziri created by abazungu abo be bali mu kuwagira Rwanda, Uganda n'obubinjabinja obuli awo buteekeyo akajagalano. Olidde waliwo gwe twakozeeko n'agamba nti ne ADF eyogerwako Uganda mbu teriiyo ye bwakakasa, mbu baagiteekawo just General Museveni okufuna engeri gy'agendamu e Congo bakolagane mu ngeri y'okugyayo ebyobugagga. Kitalo ensi yaffe weeri. Kati kano kagenva okulaga South Africa abannaffe ejje lya South Africa alina abannaabwe 2 abafiiriddeyo mu lutabaalo wadde bakagenda. Bano bagenza okusindika pazoka egende kuba M23 aye ne bouncing back ne bagwamu abweta 2 ne basulamu obulamu era wolabyawo badde bazaayo ewaka. Nga minisita akugamba nti omukyala abaana maama bali mu kunyolwa olw'okufiirwako abantu baabwe nti kigenda kubaluma nnyo, naye ate gwe mulimu gwe balina okukola Africa erina okuba mu ddembe ensonda zonna nti bagenda kulwana paka nga Africa eteredde. Kitegeeza bino si byakuma kati onoowulira buwulizi aliweetereze naye weenyweze bayinza okujja nebagamba nti kati ekintu kyatabuse Uganda naye egenda kuyambako Congo okulaba ng'egoba aba M23 n'egira Uganda naye etwalibwe Congo liyambeko Congo paka ensi lweneetera naye simanyi oba tunaabirabako ng'ensi etereera nebanga olwomu waliwo eddembe Mukama y'amanyi. Byebyo ebyali